After our baby was born, my husband said he'd take night shifts to give me rest. I was grateful. But then I found receipts for bars, hotels, and a necklace I never received. When I asked about it, he said, "You're just paranoid from lack of sleep." I installed a hidden camera. What it captured while I slept changed everything. The next morning, I took the baby, the dog, and the documents. By the time he woke up, I was already gone, and so was half the business. Hey, Reddit. I don't even know where to begin, but I need to get this out. It's long. It's ugly. And if you've ever had someone lie to your face while holding your newborn in their arms, you'll understand why I did what I did. I'm Valerie, 34, living just outside Columbus, Ohio. I've been married to Jake for 5 years. We started our own small graphic design business together 4 years ago, working out of a rented office downtown. It was growing fast. We had contracts with a few real estate firms and a decent portfolio. We were building something, at least I thought we were. Then we had our baby. Noah was born in early March. Labor was long and rough. I had complications, stitches, and that kind of exhaustion they don't tell you about in baby books. Jake seemed supportive at first. He held my hand in the hospital. He cried when he first saw Noah. And once we got home, he told me he wanted to take the night shifts. "You need sleep, babe," he said. "I can handle a bottle or two. You need to heal." I didn't argue. I was tired, healing, and grateful. He set up a bassinet in the guest room and moved in there with the baby at night so I could get a few uninterrupted hours. And for a while, it seemed like the perfect arrangement. I was still breastfeeding, so I pumped during the day and he bottle-fed Noah at night. Or so I thought. About 3 weeks in, I started to notice little things. A lipstick stain on the rim of a glass in the kitchen sink. A faint scent of perfume on one of his jackets. A necklace receipt from a store downtown. I figured maybe he bought me something, and maybe he was saving it for a surprise. But nothing came. Then I found the hotel receipts. It was a Marriott not far from our house, definitely not somewhere he'd need to stay for work. The bar tabs were ridiculous. One of them had 2 cocktails, a beer, and food. On a night, I thought he was in the guest room with our baby. When I asked him about it, I tried to stay calm. "Jake, I found some receipts, from a bar and a Marriott. You said you were here that night." He didn't even flinch. Just looked at me and said, "Val, you're sleep-deprived. You're imagining things. You've been through a lot." He brushed it off like I was some fragile little wife cracking under the pressure. He even kissed my forehead and told me to go lie down. That was the moment something cracked inside me. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't tired. I was being lied to. I didn't confront him again. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I smiled. I played along. And the next day, I went to Best Buy and bought a small motion-activated camera. I hid it in the bookshelf in the hallway just outside the guest room where Jake claimed he spent every night taking care of Noah. That night, I acted like nothing had happened. I kissed him goodnight, said thank you again for handling the night shift, and went to bed early. I didn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, clutching my phone. At 2:43 a.m., my phone buzzed. Motion detected. I waited until the morning to look at the footage. And what I saw. Jake left the house at 12:17 a.m. Noah was still in his crib in the guest room, alone. Jake didn't return until 5:08 a.m. He didn't even check on the baby. Just snuck back in, took off his shoes, and crawled into bed. He left our newborn son alone for 5 hours. No baby monitor. No nothing. I watched the footage 3 times before I could breathe. My hands were shaking. My mouth was dry. I went and checked on Noah. He was fine. Peaceful. But I wasn't. I was done. The next morning, I did something I never thought I'd do. I took action. I packed bags for me, the baby, and Max, our dog. I grabbed all the legal documents I could find. Our business license, contracts, bank papers. I had access to all our files because I handled the accounting. I logged into our shared business account and transferred half of it into a separate account under my name, an account I opened that morning. While Jake slept, I emptied our safe into my diaper bag, passports, backup drives, and the hard copy of our prenup. Then I loaded everything into the car. By the time he woke up, I was already gone. I didn't go to my parents' house. I didn't want to explain, not yet. Instead, I drove 3 hours south to a quiet little Airbnb outside Cincinnati. Pet-friendly, private, and with a coded gate. I needed time to think, plan, and figure out how deep this betrayal really went. I didn't turn my phone off. I wanted to see how long it would take him to realize I was gone. He texted me at 9:12 a.m. "Hey babe, where are you? Noah isn't in the guest room." Then, "Call me right now. I'm freaking out." And a few minutes later, "Did you seriously take off with the kid?" I didn't respond. I waited. By noon, he was blowing up my phone. Texts, calls, emails, even DMs on our business page. The tone changed quickly from panic to anger to guilt-tripping. "You're being insane. Let's talk about this. You're hurting the business. Val, come home. Please. You don't understand what you're doing." I didn't reply to any of them. I just kept going through the footage on my laptop. I had only looked at one night. What I didn't realize until then, he'd been sneaking out multiple nights. At least 5 times that week alone. Every time, leaving our baby completely unattended. And then I found the worst one. On a Thursday night, around 1:30 a.m., Jake brought someone into the house. A woman. Blonde. Tall. Wearing heels. She was giggling. He took her straight into the guest room. The same guest room where our son slept every night. She glanced at the bassinet and asked, "That your kid?" Jake said, "Yeah. He sleeps like a rock. Don't worry about him." They hooked up on the pull-out couch, less than 5 feet from our newborn son. I nearly threw up. That night, I called a lawyer. Her name was Denise. She was sharp, to the point, and I didn't have to explain twice. "We'll file emergency custody first," she said. "And a restraining order, if needed." By day 2, I had everything in motion. But Jake wasn't letting up. He showed up at my parents' house. My mom called me, confused and upset. "He's here with flowers. He said you ran off in a panic and took the baby." "Val, what's going on?" I told her everything. I sent her clips from the footage. She cried. My dad got on the phone and said, "You stay gone. You hear me? We'll deal with him." That night, Jake sent me one final text. "You're going to regret this. You're blowing up our lives over nothing." I stared at it for a long time. Over nothing? The next morning, I had my lawyer file to freeze all shared assets. Then I called every one of our business clients and let them know Jake would no longer be their point of contact. I didn't trash him. I didn't say anything personal. I just sent a formal notice, signed under my name, with new payment instructions to my account. I expected some resistance. Instead, most of them replied with some version of, "Honestly, you were the only one keeping this thing running." One of them even said, "I figured something was off when he started rescheduling meetings to random hotel bars." So yeah, Jake wasn't just cheating on me. He was throwing away everything we built. By week 2, I had temporary full custody of Noah and a court date set. The business money was locked tight. Jake's name had been removed from every client account where possible, and I'd even changed the name of the company to something new, fresh branding, new EIN number, clean break. But I wasn't prepared for what came next. I got an email from one of our longtime vendors, a printing house in Dayton. The owner, Gary, emailed me out of the blue. "Hey Val, just checking. Are you guys still planning to buy that billboard space off I-70? Jake came in last month and said you were doubling ad spend. Wanted to confirm before I start printing." I never approved any billboard ads. We never even talked about that. I asked Gary to send me the mock-up. He did. It was a giant ad. For Jake. Not the business. Just him. It had his picture looking all polished in a blazer and the words Creative Director, Jake Reyes, taking brands to the next level. Underneath, it listed a website I'd never seen before. I clicked the link. It took me to a sleek new landing page. His face. His name. His portfolio. But every project on that page? They were mine. He took my designs, my logos, my branding strategies. He watermarked them with his name and started selling himself as a freelance creative consultant. He even copied our best case study, the one that landed us that real estate firm in Toledo. Word for word. I was livid. I called Denise again. She said, "That's intellectual property theft. You're going to want to document everything." So I did. Screenshots, dates, original files, emails proving I was the designer. I even pulled the invoices to show I was the one who managed those projects from start to finish. But the real kicker? As I dug into the new site's code just to see who registered it, I found it was hosted under an email I didn't recognize. So I ran a quick background check on it. It was tied to a woman named Rachel Pierce, the same blonde from the camera footage. Turns out Rachel wasn't just some fling. She was a marketing rep Jake had met at a bar back in January while I was still pregnant. She also had a criminal record for wire fraud and falsifying business credentials in Kentucky. It wasn't just cheating anymore. It was a scam. Jake had been setting up his own business behind my back with her while using my work as bait. They were trying to pull clients from our joint company, likely hoping I'd stay too busy with the baby to notice. They were planning to take everything. Only problem? They didn't expect me to fight back. The day of the hearing came fast. I walked into that courtroom with Denise by my side, my hands shaking but my back straight. I hadn't seen Jake since the morning I left. When I looked across the aisle and saw him sitting there clean-shaven, smug in a navy blue suit, I felt nothing. No fear. No sadness. Just cold. The judge opened with the custody hearing. Jake's lawyer tried to paint me as unstable, paranoid, abducting the child without warning. But when Denise rolled out the video footage, Jake sneaking out, the baby left alone, the woman in our house, it was game over. The judge's face went pale. Jake tried to interrupt, saying, "That's taken out of context." The judge said, "The only context I see is child endangerment. You're lucky she didn't call the police." I was granted full physical custody. Jake would have supervised visits once a week at a center with court-appointed supervision. But that wasn't the end. We moved to the business. Jake insisted it was a joint venture, and he had every right to use the work as part of his portfolio. He claimed I abandoned the company. Denise pulled up our contracts, the emails, my documented hours, proof of authorship on the design files. Then she showed the judge the new website, the one Rachel helped him build. The judge frowned. "You're using stolen intellectual property to poach clients from your own business. That's fraud, Mr. Reyes." He ruled in my favor. I got full control of the business, sole ownership, and Jake was ordered to pay restitution for the contracts he tried to hijack. The amount? Nearly $68,000. He turned to me after the ruling, red-faced. "You can't do this, Val." I stood up, grabbed my bag, and looked him dead in the eye. "You did this. You just didn't think I'd ever fight back." He didn't speak. But Rachel did. She was waiting outside the courtroom, arms crossed, face like stone. When she saw Jake walk out empty-handed, she lost it. "You told me she was broke. You told me the business was failing." Jake tried to calm her down. She slapped him. Right there on the courthouse steps. That was the last time I saw either of them. It's been a year now. The business is thriving. I renamed it Bright Pine Studio, a name that means something to me. Noah's walking now. Max still sleeps curled up by the nursery door. Jake? Last I heard, he moved to Nashville. Tried to start a podcast. It bombed. Rachel disappeared. Probably running some new scam in another state. As for me, I don't sleep much these days, but not because I'm scared. I'm building something again, but this time, for me and Noah. The only regret I have is not trusting my gut sooner. But in the end, I left with the baby, the dog, the truth, and everything that mattered. And he was left with nothing but lies.